Good evening, rail fanners, and welcome back to Roskill's Sandbox. Since that I just expand the save slot number 5, and before we're gonna be making up this video around here for many months as well, this is an unofficial Roskill video as possible. And today we're gonna be making for an Indian Railways for right there, and because how to make Indian Railways for sure. And it's going to be so long. Without further ado, let's just make this one video, of course. And we're having for this a lot of rolling stock out here, and instead of the NYC trains as well, we're gonna be opening up for some kind of big like these things and the baggage cars, and probably we're gonna be making on Indian Railways for this time as we find any of these things. We're just gonna be trying to find something, a type of, for some kind of like these things, and I don't really want for some kind of an Asian railways as well. So we're gonna be going down to scroll up, and we just eventually found over here. But this thing is I'm gonna be spawning like literally over here. So this is the end car. And we're gonna be spawning over 10 of them. So 13 cars are just gonna be big enough. 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 13 cars. 11, 12. It's gonna be a lot of them. So I'll be stopping of this thing, and this is going to be the end car is right over here. The baggage cars aren't able to get to do so. So this is one of the last of these things as well that we just eventually spawn for some kind of an Indian Railways. And then we're going to be spawning a locomotive that I'll be choosing the right locomotive as well. So I'll be finding what it's going to be about. And not so dark, not so much as well. So even the Alcos and the EMDs that we just eventually used, the GE locomotives have taken over Indian Railways instead of extremely crazy the coffin as anything as well. So probably we're gonna be using some kind of a little bit of 2 wheels, and we need to do something like the 6.6 type locomotive diesel. And it's going to be making for around for many months more anyways. So we might subject to be scrolling down, and it's going to be way more impossible to do this. After we just are making a little bit for this very much, until I'm going to be subjecting to using a powerful locomotive, which is going to be this one. The EMD locomotive is going to be very taller than these things as well, so I have to be so long, and long excursion trains will be absolutely big, and literally many of them. So we're gonna be recently choosing the Santa Fe, and which is American, and we'd suggest I'm gonna be scrolling down for some more. And what do you look at this? It's not a BB200 around here for many more reasons. So should be able to keep on scrolling down and find some more locomotives, and are the Game Pass locomotives were pretty too much as well, so it's gonna be having a hard time to find, and it's gonna be way more impossible. So if I see some kind of a green locomotives or many things, or what do we do? What do we do with many more for these things as well? So I'll be choosing any kinds of locomotives, and which is not slightly big, not the G locomotives as well, which is pretty intensifying hard as well. So we cannot able to choose for some kind of American fulfilled. I'll be choosing around for the Santa Fe, and what about these? Not a strong excursion around for this thing, so I'll not be able to choose some kind of a black things as well. So this train is absolutely pretty big, and looks like that train is a Burlington Northern, which is a Pakistan train. And if I just gonna be using that train since a while, it's not pretty big as well. So if this is gonna be using for this big thing, I probably think we're not gonna be using some kind of a Canadian national. Like there are working fans over here, and which is going to be for a public transportation as well. So we just eventually got itself a lot. Once I just completely deleted anything as well by using the delete 2s as well, I think it's time that I'm gonna be using the baby Deltic, and it's not gonna be such as one fun thing. So it couple a little bit of fun things as well. But as you can see, this is pretty moved forward. Is it gonna be moved forward as well? That using 2205, and it pretty does. Now it looks like we're just gonna be going to reverse down a little bit, and so likely, if it is gonna be making for more like these things, the cars and probably coaches were very long as Indian Railways. If we're gonna be making the longest train like the Indian Railways, like there somewhere, it's gonna be completely a lot until we just eventually spawning for 21 of these. And it's gonna be pretty a lot for many more of these things. What about 8 car spawns or somewhere is gonna be a lot of there. And we're just completely scattered down as well. So we're gonna be keep on deleting anything as well. So I swear my Celestia, that wasn't gonna be very nothing as well. So we're gonna be using the end volume as well. So another one, which is I eventually spawn. Let's just completely spawn 8 of them. So 1 and 2, 3, 4, and a lot of them. 6, 7, and looks like that's pretty all. And there must be the end car as well. Finally, we got anything as well. But too long for some kind of Indian Railways. I think we need 2 locomotives to handle these. And the secondary is gonna be the first class. But then some kind of a extreme populations whatsoever for many more reasons. So if I'm gonna be accelerating this thing as well, so it goes on to, I'm probably gonna be 0.0. I think this isn't gonna be literally probably. I mean, I'll be taking a little bit of while. That since the train doesn't have any working lights, so the train doesn't gonna be handling for this thing as well. So I need a powerful locomotive. Is literally once again. So if I'm just gonna be scrolling down and look for some locomotives. Which is going to be pretty that we need any locomotives whatsoever instead of Pakistan National Railways as well. So we're going to be finding anything as possible. And I'm afraid this is really hard. Really hard it is. So I'll be taking a few minutes that we're just completely trying to find any locomotives as one. So it's going to be so hard and taking a few minutes. But what about I'll be using some kind of that we pretend it was Indian Railways? Eventually, I'm gonna be choosing only one locomotive instead of any locomotive as Canadian locomotives as well. So I'm gonna be using this one, and I'm gonna be all ready to do this. It's just this one we're gonna be making an extrusion way to make things a little bit larger, and the triple headliner is going to be that's some kind of locomotives as well. So now let's be sure we're going to be maxing out of this one ways. It isn't going to be literally to do what anything is going to be literally as possible. So we're going to be making as possible to make things itself for just only one. And looks like it's absolutely gonna be here. So with the top speed is going to be 6, we reconnected the game as we didn't able to be saved, and looks like this isn't going to be making towards much sense as well. So we cannot able to reverse things as well, so I'll be then using for the 1921 8378 as well. So it's gonna be making towards like these things, and although we're just gonna be making a little bit of these things as cursed, so it looks like the locomotives is gonna be coupling towards like this thing. But how United States of these things is probably the trains of Union Pacific, and we're pretty sure it must be the Indian Railways. And I'll be set the horsepowers to 1500, of course, I guess, and it's gonna be pretty a lot of them. So we're gonna be pulsing out of the horsepower as well, so using the British Railways, and we're gonna be making out for a 15,000 horsepower as well. The next locomotive should be 15,000, and release the loco, and looks like we got everything it goes. We turn on the headlights and go forward and ring the bell, and we're going on it. So the locomotive has faced forward, and so the locomotive is going to be on our way to itself. But really, first of all, that pretend of these cars more like Indian Railways, and imagine about the overcrowded people are going on a holiday trip as well. So but all of these trains are, oh dear, we slightly gonna be made an accident right there, and I'm probably not sure we just eventually made a cursed accident over here. But nothing isn't gonna be making towards like this thing. Now, how imagine that I'll be fixing this thing. But looks like I have slightly gone wrong, and making things towards like on the verify like this thing as well. So the train is gonna be towards like it's rolling all the way out here, and I really think those cars and the coaches are rolling like a cursed thing as well, and I have making no choice. Like this, imagine of these cars are going to be slightly wilded off. Oh no, we just made a slightly of an accident, and probably that will be the end of this video. So, and that will be a tragic mistake, but next time we'll be doing this again. So thanks for watching and about for this unofficial row scale video about here, and it does not gonna be subject to be a part of this. Going to keep on using and for some kind of the British Railways as well. So thanks for watching, and I'm gonna be seeing you all soon as possible. So, but this time I'll be making so soon, but the next time I'll be making for some kind of Indian Railways to do this. If you're just gonna be coming around here, that doesn't exist around here in row scale Sandbox, and I wanted to do, this is going to be it's signing off that Turbo Concept do, and I'll be talking to you rail fanners all later as well.